actually pull away from those type of relationships. You know, I actually was in a relationship like that, and I didn't even pull away from it. God literally took me out of the relationship. Literally. I don't know, to this day, I talk to my wife, but I don't know how in the world I got out of that relationship. Because I was so emotionally invested in that young lady. Sexually, financially, mentally, everything was invested in her. But in that process, I knew that God was telling me, this is not the one for you. Within 2-3 months in the relationship, I heard it clear. But it took an entire year and a half for us to actually separate. So don't put yourself in a position where you have to compromise your relationship with God. Man, if you see a red flag, like, and I'm not talking about, okay, this person's a bum, he can't do anything. I'm talking about, like, character-wise. The guy or the lady is not a person of integrity. Question that hard. You know, putting God over everything and everyone. If they're not doing that, question it hard. If they're not sincerely trying to grow, because we all have issues. And I told several people this. You know, there were a lot of things that I came into the relationship with my wife with. A lot of problems. I'm rude. Sometimes people don't even, unless you're in naps, you don't really see me speak when I'm in class and stuff, because I know I have a problem with my mouth. I will say certain things in the wrong way, and I don't really mean it that way. It's just that that's the environment I grew up growing up. So, so it's just I have to find myself just not saying anything. You know, I just don't say anything. And that was one of the issues that she had with me. I don't care what I said. I just, whatever. And it's still kind of like that, but I've grown a lot from that, you know. But I would say there are certain things a lot of things I came into the relationship with. A lot. Got married, some of them went away. But a lot of them are still here, and she's still with me. Amen. So don't look for this person like a checklist. Boom, okay, this and that. Don't look for that, because you're going to miss out. The key thing is your surrendered relationship to God. Because when people do, this is one thing I didn't like about the 3 a.m. thing. They didn't let us be real. They did not let us be real. Like, sometimes you're going to wake up, you're going to be like, I cannot stand this person. I'm being so honest with you. You're going to be like, man, I don't love this person. You're going to feel that way. There's going to be times where you just, you know, but we're just conditioned to believe, oh, lovey-dovey, happy. And we should strive for it to always be like that. But seeing the fact that you have 2 imperfect people coming together to try to make something perfectly work, oh man, there's going to be some steps. There's going to be some steps, you know. So I can safely say that there are some things about me that are not right about me that God purposely put me with my wife so she can know how to deal with, and vice versa. Because this life is about growth. Don't think you're just going to match with somebody and it's going to be all, you know, cakes and roses and candy. It's not going to be like that. You strive for it to get that way. But you have so many outside elements. You have finances, you have jobs, you have family issues. You have so many things weighing down on that person that you're with, you and that person in that relationship. So I go back to the same words again, a surrendered relationship with God. Both of you guys have to have that. Just because you have a surrendered relationship with God does not mean you're going to make all the right decisions. That's not what it means. That means when you mess up, you're able to go back to God, be like, Lord, okay, and you evaluate, okay, where did we go wrong? Where did I go wrong? And then from there, you have, Lord, purpose in your heart not to do it again by God's grace. But there are going to be issues along the way. You know, and I see it all the time. People are looking for this specific person. My wife will be the first person to tell you, I was not her first choice. I did not fit the mold that she was conditioned to believe should be that person. I was left field, big time. But the things that I talk about when I speak about integrity and character, Those are the type of things she saw in me that she didn't really see in other guys that approached her before. And then one other thing I say for the guys, we all have baggage. Do not be afraid to tell that person, ladies too, do not be afraid to tell that person that you're trying to be with your baggage. Because if that baggage is found out from some outside source, oh boy, you just ruined everything you just had. Personal experience with my wife, that last relationship where I was in, I was doing craziness. And because I was in a surrendered relationship with God, the Lord pressed upon my heart, you need to tell her. 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 And I was like, dang. And so I just had to tell her everything that was going on. And she was like, wow, okay. A couple of weeks later, one of her guy friends come to her, 2 of them. Man, you with Jono? Man, I don't know if you want to be with Jono because they told her exactly what I told her. Now, what if I didn't tell her? From there, she realized, man, I can really trust this guy. Integrity. She realized, okay, I can trust this guy because he's not hiding anything from me. Go ahead, your back. Oh, praise the Lord, brother.
Yeah, but God, tell all the baggage, it gotta be.
Yeah, it got to be tactful. But sometimes it's not tactful. I think it's better that you say it than.
No. When?
No,
like,
yeah, I know.
First date the person?
Oh, no. Not immediately, like. Immediately, yeah. By this time, when I'm telling my wife these things, we already had it in our minds that one day we're going to get married, even though it was like 2 years after, but we already knew that this was it. So, Roger.
I don't want to play the devil advocate, but a quick question. So, telling the baggage or whatever you're talking about, say you told that up front, like not really the first time, but before 2 years into the relationship, because now you have invested time and everything. Mm-hmm. So, say you told her like a month in the relationship, maybe when you didn't invest so much time and emotional things together, because maybe 2 years into the relationship would have been hard to pull away from, whereas 1 month. Yeah, very true. Was that a setup or what?
No, actually, it was not a setup. Like I said, I was in a surrendered relationship with God. So it was the Lord really pressing upon me to tell her. You know, it wasn't like, I'm going to tell her now before anybody else. Because I didn't even know those guys knew about my business. I didn't even know they knew. So, you know, I don't know. I can't tell you the time frame, like make sure you tell them before a year or 2 months. Or God speaks to all of us. You know, and the prerequisite from God telling us exactly what we need to do is being obedient to Him. So if we're following exactly what He wants us to do and taking those steps, He's going to tell you what you need to do. As we go.
Kelsey had a question. I don't know if she's still on the phone. Okay, but my question is, and I think this is, yes. Jean answered the first question, and it was talking about like not putting your all into a relationship, not putting your all, but in the likelihood that this isn't the person that God has for you, right? Something to that extent. So my question is, do you get into a relationship? Do you start courting before you are 100% certain that this is the person that you are going to marry?
Okay. I cannot give a definite answer on that. I can't. Because for what I can say is, go ahead, Kisha.
Like John was saying at the beginning, there are different stages in courtship. Courtship begins when you start pursuing a friendship with that person with the mind that I can see myself being with this person, potentially. And they're, right, like the talking stage, that's part of courtship. So the minute you start establishing a friendship with that person with the intention of seeing if it will work, that's courtship. So you have the beginning stages of courtship where you're just talking, getting to know each other as friends, and then you have the stage of the courtship where everyone knows that we're together and we're in it for the long haul, and then you have, okay, we're engaged, we're about to be married in a few months or a year or whatever. So to answer your question, you're in a courtship in that time when you start doing what you said you were doing.
And the question was more in line of sacrifices, like, should I be in a courtship as if I'm in a marriage? Like I'm married. Paying the bills, paying the cell phone bills, you know, doing all, no, man, no. Like I'm giving it in a response that it's like you're watching, you're seeing that person, like you're spending time with them, and you know, like you're kind of just working things out, letting the Lord manifest himself in the relationship. Rather than just saying, oh, I'm going to be married, we're going to be married in 2015. You know, like, those are the extremes that, like, wow, like, you don't want to put yourself in a position. I said it, like, we're all young. I think it is because John and I, we were talking about this at the table the other day, man. Like, we're young to the point to where, like, our bodies, when we're courting, start to come together. Like, physically, like there's going to be certain attractions going on in the midst. And so you just kind of want to be kind of careful because courting in the brain is saying, we're about to get married. Like, it starts to develop your body in such a way like, you're about to get married. And it's saying like, okay, so now I'm starting to, I was going to say, okay, I'm starting to do certain things that will compromise our relationship. That's certain sacrifices because you're not married. You know what I mean? You can't be, you know, tongue in the purse and all. I mean, I don't know. That's some people, but for me, like, we couldn't go that far because I had a history too. Man, it was aggressive. But I had to be like, when I saw Tammy, I was like, nah, I can't go through that because God delivered me. And I was like, okay. Because with the last girl I was with before Tammy, like, it was like we were married. Mm-hmm. And those were the sacrifices that we were talking. And we were just supposedly courting. But then, all that didn't happen was just to have a home together. That's it. But then the Lord was like, nah, brother, I got greater things. You know what I mean? And so he took me out of that. And so that's what I'm talking about. Like, you don't have to, and you know, you can get close with the person, but it should get to a point to be like, if God says no, just let it go. Just tuck it in. Just tuck it in.
Do I have any? Okay, JM.
I know you were talking about, well, Kexi had talked about spiritual accountability and stuff. And I remember reading about the dangers of like spiritual oneness and stuff, you know, too early on in a relationship. And I was just wondering about like, basically in regards to, say for example, like doing devotions together or something like that. Like I don't even know how to ask it, but do you think that is going too far? And when is that like okay? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there an actual point where you can say like, okay?
Well, I would encourage devotions with the other person before you get into the relationship. What Ellen White is trying to say, and I've read that, she's trying to say that that person should not engulf you to the point where you have no individuality with you and God anymore. It's just that person and you. Now, if you're waking up in the morning and it's like you have devotion with that significant other, and then that's it, and you just move on to the day, that's not good. That's a problem. You shouldn't even do that in your marriage. You should have your personal time with God, your time with your spouse, and if you have kids and everything, your time with your family and stuff. You know, so I would definitely encourage devotion with that significant other, but it can't be like you're soaking that person or that person is soaking you for spiritual strength. You know, it has to be something that you guys come together and agree with. Let's start having devotions together, you know. It has to be something you agree with to do, but it should never be something where, it replaces your time with God, your personal time with God.
I just have a comment. I just want to say that I really appreciate all you guys doing this, setting this up, and how you guys have been so transparent and it has been so refreshing. I wasn't even planning on coming here. Like God knew I needed to be here, but it's just been so refreshing. I can't speak for anybody else, but I just want to say thank you, all you guys up here, for sharing.
I have another question. Yes. To me, like, I wonder, because, like, Jono, you know, like, you can start liking somebody or you can start having feelings for a person without ever, like, things being established or whatever, you know, based on just, like, the time that you're spending together or, you know, things like that. So then how do you differentiate if you are having devotions before you are courting, or, you know, if it's okay to enter into courtship based on the different levels? How do you differentiate then between your feelings and God's will? If, like you said, like, when your feelings are there, it's mad hard to differentiate, you know, like, you can't really hear God's voice after your heart wants what it wants. So then how do you how do you go from the just being friends to being something else? Or how can you tell that this is what God is saying? You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying?
Well,
Can I change the body?
go ahead, bro. Oh, you say you want me to stop talking?
Yeah.
Commercial.